The Moon, Earth's only satellite. We have been studying this object for centuries, but this satellite is very special because in this first episode of the second season of Journey Through Space, we will be exploring the history of the moon from its formation to the moon landing. Welcome to Journey Through Space Season 2. We see the moon every night on a clear night sky, and we all know what its surface looks like. Covered in impact craters, canyons, flat plains, and mountainous areas, which are created by the impact craters that have been hitting the moon ever since its formation. But the moon's story is very, very different from the other planets that we have explored already in the first season. Because as you can see here, this is pretty much like something that you would see, say, in like Death Valley in California, or perhaps the Sahara Desert. But the moon here is actually not sand, but dust and rock. The moon has been our only satellite ever since its formation over 4 billion years ago. The moon is tidally locked, which means that it does not rotate on its own axis. But it's crucially important for the Earth, and this is how it's just that. The moon is what controls the tides here on Earth. As you can see here, in this simulation, as the moon orbits around the Earth, all the water that is on the Earth gets pulled in a specific direction depending on which side of the Earth the moon is. So the moon controls the water like how fire hydrants control the water that comes out of it, if you get what I mean. But without the moon, there will be no tides, and everything on Earth, including life as we know it, would be impossible. But the moon's story is very, very different from the other planets. And the moon's story goes something like this. $4.4 billion years ago, the Earth was a toxic planet with no hope of life. And then it all changed in an instant. Another planet the size of Mars called Theia smashed into the young Earth, at which the collision kicked off tons and tons of material out into space, which it then began to coalesce into the moon. But the moon back then was very, very different. As it began to take shape, it became a burning ball of molten rock and lava. The moon was 12,000 miles away when it first formed. Today, it's over 164,882 miles away from the Earth. And the moon has cooled down over time, and the black marks are lakes of solidified lava. And the moon is now what it is today. But one thing that's unique about the moon that hardly anybody talks about anymore are eclipses. This is a lunar eclipse, of which is when the moon blocks out the sun's light, and it causes the moon to turn into a completely different color, of which is a shade of blood red mixed with orange and yellow. Kind of like the red moon that you see in 7 Days to Die, the game. But the way that this happens is very, very interesting. Because, as you can see here, the way that this happens is that the moon moves in front of the sun as it's orbiting the Earth, which causes the eclipse. And no, it is not safe to look at with your own eyes. But what really made the moon famous was back in 1969.
Seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start.
On July 16th, 1969,
3, 2, 1,
astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin set off for the moon on the Apollo 11 mission. This mission would change the way that we know about the moon, and what would make the moon incredibly famous like it has never, ever been before. They rapidly climb through the air until they have eventually hit the stratosphere. And that is where it happens. As they get higher and higher, the main boosters begin to separate, and the rocket becomes the moon lander. As they leave the Earth's atmosphere, the rocket sets off for the moon.
Clear. Break, break. Buzz, this is Houston. Radio check and verify TV circuit breaker in. Roger, TV circuit breaker's in.
3 days later, on July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin touched down on the moon.
You got a good picture, huh?
They become the very first two human beings to ever walk on the moon.
Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now. I'm going to step off the limb now. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
How is the quality of the TV?
Then
Oh,
they
it's
placed
beautiful,
down
Mike,
the
it really
American
is.
flag, of which will mark this mission as a monumental
Yes, indeed. They've got the
achievement
flag up now, and you
in
can see
space
the stars
travel
stripes
and
on
in
the lunar
human
surface.
evolution.
Beautiful, just beautiful.
It's all thanks to the Apollo 11 mission that we now know a lot more about the moon than we previously thought and have guessed from throughout the years that we have been studying the moon before space travel became a reality. But Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, along with NASA, changed all of that forever. This was a monumental achievement for humankind. And even though Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin aren't alive with us today, their legacy will be remembered as a huge step in the evolution of mankind. It was indeed one small step for man and one giant leap for all of mankind.
The 11-foot beds are only compressed in the surface about 1 or 2 inches. And they'll step off the limb now. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. I believe it's Daddy. Hippity-hopping over hill and dale. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da. Hippity-hopping along.
Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin's time on the moon was fun and well worth it. Then they came back home safely, feeling very proud of their monumental achievement, which will be remembered for many, many years to come. However, the moon still has lots and lots of surprises for us that we have yet to unravel. Believe it or not, in the next few centuries, we will be building a new home on the moon and make the moon our next new settlement if Mars isn't enough. But the most recent discovery is that there's water on the moon. Yeah, which is crazy, because the moon is normally made up of dust and rock. This has been the very first episode of the second season of Journey Through Space, of which was all about the moon, Earth's only satellite, filled with impact craters, mountainous ranges, open plains, canyons, and stuff like that. But the fact that there is now water on the moon, as you can see here in this thermal array, this is where the water can be found on the moon, which is in the northern region and the southern pole region of the moon. The moon has too many craters for us to count. So if we were to check all the craters on the moon, it would be impossible for us to count. However, The moon has lunar lava tubes, which is where the lava flowed across the moon when it first formed over 4.4 billion years ago. Perhaps these will become our next settlement for future human habitats. So this is how the second season of Journey Through Space has started, kicking off with a bang. And now that the moon is out of the way, next up we will be visiting the gas giants. See y'all next time on Journey Through Space.